Now let's dive deep into this big LGBTQ story for today. I'm Von Biggs, and let's queer up South Florida and Florida. Is Florida shifting on LGBTQ policies? After years of devastating policy losses for queer Floridians, there are signs the political tide in the Sunshine State may be turning. At a press conference Wednesday, Equality Florida leaders and the lawmakers struck a hopeful tone after two controversial bills stalled in the Florida Senate. The proposed measures would have restricted preferred pronoun use for LGBTQ employees and rolled back diversity considerations in state contracts. But after an overwhelming number of public comments against them, the bills were tabled. Though Republican Senate leaders say the bills could be revived later, advocates see their temporary defeat as a victory and a sign of shifting priorities in Tallahassee. For years, Republican lawmakers led by Governor Ron DeSantis pushed anti-LGBTQ policies restricting transgender rights, diversity programs, and gender markers on IDs. But with DeSantis' failed presidential campaign and growing fatigue over culture wars, some activists believe momentum is shifting. Some queer activists also sensing a change in attitudes at Florida's Capitol. Angelique Godwin, director of the Transgender Equality Florida, noted that for the first time in years, she felt a sense of normalcy in the building. For now, queer Floridians will remain vigilant, but after years of setbacks, the moment offers a rare glimpse of hope in a state that has often felt hostile to the LGBTQ plus rights. You know, it's very interesting. Our voices do matter in the community, and I think part of this shows that because there were so many people that proposed opposition to this. And, you know, we've got to stand for them. We've got to keep up with local and national policies affecting LGBTQ rights. We've got to build alliances, collaborate with marginalized groups to amplify our voices, engage politically. We've got to vote, obviously, support LGBTQ plus friendly candidates, and participate in advocacy efforts. We've got to educate, raise awareness about LGBTQ issues through the workshops, social media, community events. We've got to support each other. And that's creating safe spaces to where it may not be something that you're interested in, but you're showing support by aligning yourself with them.
Right now, the Tallahassee have bigger fishes to fry. First of all, now that they've scared away every undocumented worker in the country, business leaders are pissed, and business leaders need labor, and therefore they are now discussing essentially eliminating child labor laws so that 14-year-olds can work overnight shifts before going to school. And second, Ron DeSantis and his cultural warrior thing is no longer viable after he flunks out of the presidential race. He is probably not viable for 2028 because, you know, the king is probably going to run again or try to seek a third term for however means necessary. And secondly, Tallahassee, the legislative part of the Tallahassee is tired of it. You know, it finally got them nowhere except just basically crashed the reputation of the state into the bunker, you know, eliminated their universities are now cratering in national reputation and funding, and, you know, there's no upside to it anymore for cultural war, and that's why they abandoned it. Not that they give a crap about us. It's just that it's no longer politically viable.
But I did see an upside in this. Well, one, like as our video showed, you may have seen two very important Democrats were on that. You had Senator Carlos Guillaume-Smith on one side and his pal, Representative Anna Escamani. Both of them were also quoted in a piece by The Advocate on this very issue. And those two, when I see them together in something, I know something good is happening. To see the two of them cheering on everything that they've been doing to keep this from happening. You know, Carlos, I've known Carlos for years. He has been an amazing senator. Long before he was a senator, he was a huge, wonderful activist with the National LGBTQ Task Force, going to events and when he and Anna are doing stuff, you know it's going to be a good thing. So the fact that I saw the two of them there says to me that, you know, I think they're going to be very successful in preventing a lot of stuff from happening, you know.
Well, and to complement what's been said so far regarding the subject, I was very pleased to see that on the 18th, Commissioner Paul Rowley and Vice Mayor and Commissioner Christopher Caputo from Wilton Manors were up in Tallahassee for Broward Days, interfacing with senators and representatives. So it's important not only to, of course, address our concerns in our community, but also to interface with our allies and even some of our enemies within government, you know, not to avoid going to Tallahassee or avoid going to places where we're uncomfortable. And I give both these men a lot of credit. I do interface with them on a regular basis representing the west side of Wilton Manors. Certainly would be great to see one of them get into some type of seat on a larger basis outside of Wilton Manors. I think there's the potential there for many of our local politicians to do so.
Well, that is a big LGBTQ story for today. There is no other queer nonprofit media platform like this in the entire world. Support our LGBTQ story.